Governments, employers, and workers unanimously declared a safe and healthy working environment as a fundamental principle and right at work at the 2022 International Labour Conference. What does the inclusion of a safe and healthy working environment as a fundamental principle and right at work mean for governments, for workers and employers around the world?
It means increased focus on the preventive work to prevent accidents, to prevent diseases, and to put greater focus on OSH work.
Consideramos que esto va a permitir de alguna manera visibilizar un problema tan importante como es la vida de los y las trabajadoras.
Workplaces will be safer for workers. Ultimately, workers will be able to have the right to refuse unsafe work and the right to be informed.
Means for us as employers enormous leverage to get more attention for occupational safety and health in practice, in reality, on the work floor.
What are the respective roles of governments, employers, and workers for ensuring a safe and healthy working environment?
Le rôle du gouvernement est de travailler à ce que la sécurité et la santé deviennent une priorité et que les législations nationales, les politiques et programmes soient alignés sur les mêmes normes que les normes en matière de santé et sécurité promues comme principe et droit fondamental au travail.
We will try to build upon the good and best practices that we also can identify within our membership.
Ahora nos queda a nosotros una labor de lograr que los convenios fundamentales puedan ser ratificados en cada uno de nuestros países. Para ello necesitamos toda una figura de cabildeo, de reuniones en los consejos tripartitos de cada uno de nuestros países.
We have several role key. The first one is strengthening the tripartite commitment in knowledge, the occupational safety and health, and then also include OSH promotion, awareness, and we also enhancing the implementation of occupational safety and health management system.
What are the main challenges, opportunities, and priorities to respect, promote, and to realize a safe and healthy working environment?
Una de nuestras prioridades es avanzar en la prevención de muertes, de lesiones en el mundo de trabajo. Este esfuerzo a nivel mundial sí abonará a que nosotros podamos tener sistemas de salud enfocados en la prevención.
أتى هذا القرار لتفعيل دور كافة الجهات الحكومية الممثلة للدولة من خلال توحيد جهودها وتوحيد سياساتها بحيث تكون كافة هذه السياسات تدعم هدف واحد وهو حماية العاملين وتوفير بيئة العمل الآمنة والمريحة للعاملين.
We can also try to improve the occupational safety and health performance of smaller businesses, also in branches that are still lagging behind.
We need to put it first because one death, one accident, one disease is too many. And, we cannot allow this to continue. We have to do better.
This is the beginning of a long journey that will require collaboration between governments, employers, workers, and beyond to ensure that all people in the world of work have the right to go to work and come back home alive, uninjured, and healthy.
Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues,
друзі,
dear friends, partners,
організатори,
organizers,
я раді вас вітати в нашій
and
віртуальній.
we are happy to welcome you at our virtual meeting. This is my honor to announce our online conference open. I'm going to work with you, Dmitro Matveychuk, editor-in-chief of Охорона праці magazine editorial board, and we are grateful to ILO, in particular to the project led by Zsoldus Tudas and Sofia Litvin in Ukraine. They held 7 technical webinars, and there was the final ceremony for the project. But of course, the Day of Labor Protection without them would not be as significant as logical as we have it today. So today we're celebrating the Global Labor Protection Day. A safe and healthy working environment is a fundamental principle and right at work. This is the slogan of today. Let me remind you that back in 1989, we started celebrating this day. That was the day when Canadian trade unions commemorated the memory of those who perished at work. And then ILO announced the 28th of April, the International Labor Protection Day, to bring to focus the attention of the society on the scale of this issue. And since 2006, we've been celebrating that with the entire world. And the objective is to attract attention to OSH, to prevent professional occupational diseases and incidents, and to commemorate memories of those who died at work. And now, dear participants, I announce a minute of silence to commemorate those who died at work and our warriors who are sacrificing their lives for freedom, sovereignty, and independence of Ukraine.
програмі нашій питання
The
безпеки.
agenda of our today's conference, we will address OSH through the prism of social partners, the society, mental health, and we also summarize the drawing competition, 18 speakers who will speak about some problematic issues. And regarding some housekeeping issues, technical issues, we have technical support from Arena and Охорона Праці editorial board. We ask you to unmute yourself so that we could work without any interferences. I hope you know how you can use interpretation function by now. In the bottom of your screens, you can see this globe button, and there you can pick up the language channel. So, rules of procedure. We will tell the speakers 13 seconds before the end, before the time is over, because we have dense agenda. We will have a break. We have no Q&A session, but you can always come up with recommendations, feedback in the chat, and we will definitely respond to that. And now I ask you to start video address of the International Labour Organization, ILO Department for Labour Administration, Inspection, and OSH.
Every year, numerous workers around the world continue to lose their lives due to occupational accidents and diseases, with many more suffering debilitating injuries or lifelong chronic conditions. In June 2022, the International Labour Conference adopted a resolution to include a safe and healthy working environment as a fundamental principle and right at work. This year, the World Day for Safety and Health at Work is commemorating this historic decision and its implications for the world of work. The inclusion of a safe and healthy working environment in the ILO framework of fundamental principles and rights reaffirmed the principles set out in the ILO Constitution. This is essential for protecting the rights of workers and promoting their overall well-being, contributing to decent work for all. This decision means that all ILO member states, regardless of whether they have ratified the two fundamental conventions, number 155 and number 187, now have an obligation arising from their membership to the ILO to respect, promote, and realize this fundamental right. The two fundamental conventions, numbers 155 and number 187, are at the core of the occupational safety and health framework of the ILO. These conventions are fully complementary and provide a blueprint towards the provision of a safe and healthy working environment. Through outlining a strategic systems approach to occupational safety and health, promoting the principle of prevention, and strengthening social dialogue at the national and the workplace level. The review found that nearly all member states have a national authority or body that is responsible for occupational safety and health, and almost half of the countries around the world have a national policy on OSH. However, only 1/3 of member states have an up-to-date national occupational safety and health program. It was also quite interesting to find, for example, that around 70% of our member states have laws or policies that protect the right of workers to remove themselves from a dangerous situation without retaliation. With regards to social dialogue, the results of the study were quite promising, as 80% of member states were found to have a national tripartite body on occupational safety and health, and more than 70% of countries have provisions in their national legislation for the establishment of workplace OSH committees. While progress has been made in some respects, the health and safety of numerous workers around the world is still at risk. Through implementing the provisions of the fundamental conventions on occupational safety and health, and respecting, promoting, and progressively realizing the right to a safe and healthy working environment, we have the potential to improve the lives of millions of workers around the world.
Отже, дякуємо поважній.
So we are grateful to the highly respected large international organization, to ILO. We are grateful for this information, and now I pass the floor to the representative, ILO representative and project manager, ILO project manager in Ukraine, towards safe, healthy and declared work in Ukraine, EU-funded ILO project. And we will address the slogan, and we will address the fact of completion of the project. I've mentioned, Mr. Zsolt, I believe that this is the last event in the framework of the project, and we are sad about that because we will have to say goodbye to the project. But I keep reiterating that that's always the start of something new. You're welcome.
Good morning, dobrego ranku, szanowni друзі, dear friends, colleagues around from different parts of Ukraine, from different organizations, whether it's from the State Labor Service, whether it's from the government, representative of the workers, representative of business and employers, or experts of occupational safety and health, magazines, the vibrant press that supported us in the efforts to address occupational safety and health, and all of you who found time to be with us today to commemorate the worldwide celebration of a day of occupational safety and health. Today and tomorrow, people around the globe, in all its corners, will look into how to support in their respective countries, regions, in their places of habitual residence, to support advancement of the issues of occupational safety and health. And of course, we are celebrating the fact that more than a year ago, this became a fundamental principle and right at work. And of course, we are sad because this is our last public event of our project. And it has been a long and enjoyable journey with all of you. And we will miss you too. But we hope that this is definitely not the end. It is a beginning of something new. And I think we'll all continue to work towards that, to support Ukraine in reforming its occupational safety and health system, and of course, with all its components. So you have seen so far the introductory video by my colleagues from Geneva, and they were mentioning some of these elements, but I would like to build on this, and within the time allocated to us, would like to address some of it or further advance or maybe elaborate, because it's worthwhile. But before I do, I also wanted to express our gratitude to the European Union for the generous funding they have provided throughout these years and 3 phases of the project, that we are able to do this and we are able to be with you today. So it is much, much appreciated, including the fact that they were very flexible in the time when it was needed to continue supporting this. So we would like to express officially our gratitude to the European Union delegation in Kyiv. Nonetheless, I think I also would like to say that, and we have 423 participants and growing, that it is, I would like to thank all of you, because we would have not been as far as we have gone in a journey together with you, had you not supported it and you not taken an ownership and a leading role. That is the key to the sustainable steps, hopefully, that will lead and guide us in the future. Now, because now the occupational safety and health is a fundamental principle and right at work, you might want to ask, what does it exactly mean? What does it exactly mean for Ukraine? What does it exactly mean for me? And what are the components? Where are the steps that I can do something about it? And I would like to go through it a little bit, perhaps slower and paying attention to some of the things that was mentioned in the video by our colleagues. So basically, the 2 conventions that are worthwhile to remember, that are important as a fundamental, each 5 fundamental area as it's being part of fundamental rights at work or core labor standards, have 2 accompanying conventions. And when it comes to occupational safety and health, it is Convention 155 that Ukraine ratified, and there is Convention 187, which Ukraine has not ratified yet. Just to say a few numbers about this, because it's worthwhile to say, the ILO Convention 155, and Ukraine among them, as I mentioned, is ratified by 76 member states, which represents 41% of the total of countries that are members of the International Labour Organization. The Convention 187 about the promotion and the framework, which Ukraine has not yet ratified, is ratified by 59 member states of the ILO, that represents roughly 32%. And I think this is also one of the tasks that immediately comes to mind. It would be good to start a discussion. What is ILO Convention 187 and how it can be useful for Ukraine and its steps and ambitions to address occupational safety. So, but when we're discussing the issue of fundamental principle and right at work and the issues in relation, what are the components that each of the member states of the ILO, with its tripartite structure and others, need to address? And this is also building on the video, at least partially. So component number 1, it was mentioned, the national authority, a body that is responsible for occupational safety and health. It is the body that is in charge to develop the OSH profile, the policy, the issues related to programs, legislation, codes of conduct. So this is usually an authority that is a government body. And I think it is worthwhile to note that in the latest analysis of the ILO, almost all countries, member states of the International Labour Organization, they do have a national body. It is also interesting to note that in 87% of cases, this body is actually the Ministry of Labour. In the rest of the cases, of course, it is social affairs or ministries of economy or other specifically designed and created OSH bodies that are dealing with it. Secondly, there is a recommendation that is building on the ILO Convention 187, specifically in its Article 4 and the sub-paragraph 3A, is calling for an establishment of a national tripartite body that works with occupational safety and health. And my colleague Sofia is posting some of these issues in relation to what I'm talking about in Ukrainian. It is important to bear in mind that creating such a body is an important step. And of course, the remits is left to the member states to decide whether you want to have a consultative body, whether you want to make a decision-making body, or you just want to have a body that will be created to make legislation. And of course, ad hoc, to a certain extent, already exists. My predecessor and the project team supported the getaway retreat that worked on developing the OSH legislation in Ukraine, that created the beginning of it. But it was ad hoc, and it is called for to have something on the national level. And in addition to the tripartite setup of such a body, in some countries, as a positive example, is also the inclusion of additional, such as to occupational safety and health that are should be included. It is important to mention that 79% of ILO member states have such a tripartite national body that is permanent. This is also another point. Yes, it might have been ad hoc issues, but they should be something perhaps that is permanent. Thirdly, the third component of a quite high importance is the legal framework. And the legal framework includes, of course, the law that would be in line with international labor standards, with the conventions that are ratified. And of course, when it comes to Ukraine, in addition to the international labor standards, is the compliance with the requirements of future membership in the European Union, which is stemming from the current candidate country status. So basically, it is the compliance with the Framework Directive. But within this, I would like to focus on three key elements, especially on a day of the World OSH Day, that are worthwhile to say as some of the key issues that are to be mentioned. One is about the protection against undue consequences for workers to remove themselves from dangerous work situation. This was also mentioned by my colleagues. This is a fundamental issue, and our research shows that workers need to have this right, and it needs to be done. There shouldn't be any employer-related sanctions against them for doing so if their life is in imminent danger. And I think it is important to say that in 68% of the member states of the ILO, such a provision in the OSH legislation exists. And it should be without any sanctions, without reprisals, or without any pressure on workers to be able to do that, because this reduces greatly the issues related to accidents and issues. Secondly, the requirement, which is stipulated both in ILO Convention 155, but also in 187, is the requirement to establish joint occupational safety and health representation at the workplace. It can be committees, it could be bodies, or it could be individual representation as such. But it needs to be a composite of regular exchange of information and consultations and discussions between the management and the workers or their representatives. This shows, and there are growing body of statistical evidence, that representation on OSH reduces greatly the issue of the number of accidents, and also it is a good tool in terms of prevention. in the context of Ukraine, I would like to mention that we greatly appreciate the initiative of the trade unions. And in connection to this, we have had an initial meetings discussing some experiences from Central and Eastern Europe of countries transitioning from the issues related to trade union involvement towards the model that is within the EU, that is of representation of on occupational safety and health at the workplace. And we hope that this work will continue. I also would like to mention that such a committees or such a representation at the workplace exists in 73% of the member states of the ILO. This is yet another information that shows that it is of relevance. And the last on the legal framework is the paramount importance. And for me, this is actually perhaps one of the most important ones. That is the ensuring of compliance, enforcement of occupational safety and health. In every country, you can have the greatest of legislation. If there is no labor inspection mandated to supervise the effective implementation of occupational safety and health law, then it would be just words on the paper. In other words, in any country, you can have the best of occupational safety and health legislation if there is not a labor inspection that helps to promote its implementation, not only through the means of inspections, but also including the possibility of inspections. That is the way forward. And there are provisions in both fundamental conventions, both 155 ratified by Ukraine and that of 187 about the role of labor inspection. If we can also mention the last three elements that are important in this field, and I'm conscious of the time, I will try to wrap up and make it sure that we cover the essentials, is the national OSH policy, which is also required by the Convention 155, but also 187. Elaboration of such a policy is of paramount importance. And at the moment, only 47% of member states of ILO, member states and countries have such an elaborated OSH policy, but this is also something for all of us when it comes to the future of Ukraine worthwhile to mention. Of course, national OSH program is also stipulated in the ILO Convention 187 as a next step. So the OSH policy, then a national OSH program. And the last component, the sixth component of a proper OSH setup is the national recording system of notification of accidents and diseases. And to have a united, proper, and up-to-date modern system of recording accidents and diseases at the workplace are a key to have the right numbers, the right statistics that helps to make the right policies. Now, when it comes to all this, it's worthwhile to mention that you have 90% of the member states that have some system, but the system of underreporting and the issues related to improper procedures is something that is a priority also for the ILO, as much as it is for the member states. Lastly, I would like to say that it was mentioned partially, according to the latest information from the ILO, that there is at the moment a correlation between high-income countries and proper OSH systems, and it's worse in lower or countries in transition. So those who would say that you need to get a bit better standards first in order to improve your occupational safety and health might want to see it that way. However, I choose to see it differently. I would say that in order to catch up and to belong to the countries that are actually well off, it's part of competitiveness to actually address occupational safety and health. So it's not when, let's just wait when we can actually afford having occupational safety and health to be addressed, but the way to get more prosperous, more competitive, and also reducing accidents is the other way around. And I think this is the shift of paradigm that we have discussed in some of the issues in relation to this. And I think this will also worthwhile to remember. Lastly, with all these steps ahead, hopefully Ukraine, with or without, let's say, the issues in relation to this, will be able to address these steps in its path towards closer integration with the European Union. And hopefully the ILO, one way or another, will be able to support in this endeavor. I thank you very much for your attention. Dużo dziękuję za uwagę, and giving back the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zholt, and definitely you are a wise person. Knowing the situation in Ukraine, you've concentrated attention on the tasks for the future, the destinations to be moving to, which sets the right speed for today's conversation. And your speech takes us to Alexander Shultenko speech, who is the head of the Department of Ministry of Economical Development, and the renewed OSH legislation, the further steps to be made. So Alexander, the mic is yours. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, those who are here, and the experts on OSH. First and foremost, since the day that commemorates those who perished at working place, take into the consideration the tragic events that are going on because of the war waged by Russia against Ukraine, I'd like to greet all those who've been injured as a result of bombing, torturing, and shelling, and because every life has a great value to cherish, each and every life. On several recent months, we've been seeing some historical events unfolding in Ukraine. I'm talking about the OSH. Several dozen years ago, a very important event was the adoption of the law of Ukraine on the labor protection, which in the constitution, written the constitutional right of citizens to for their life to be protected while they are at the workplace. So, but today we see that we are trying to get as close as possible to the European Union. We're getting one notch higher. And probably the next stage of our this is the next level of our being developed in, and we've got to fix the main principles. We're talking about the former labor protection with the OSH definition. And it's not a secret, everybody knows that on the 27th of March this year, the draft law of Ukraine on OSH has been sent to the government of Ukraine, and all through this period of time, like a month, the Secretariat of the Cabinet of Ministers has done a lot of work to polish this draft, and the result of which you will see in the nearest future. I hope it will be approved at the governmental session, and it will be forwarded to the Parliament of Ukraine.
By the way, currently we are in the process of preparing it for submission for consideration of the governmental committee, submitting this draft law where the further decisions will be made for further elaboration. Apart from the new draft law, I would like to emphasize that despite we don't have the law yet, the work on harmonization of OSH legislation with European standards is ongoing. And in the framework of OSH legislation and commitments of Ukraine to implement the respective standards relating to OSH, I would like to emphasize that in the last several days, we have implemented the directive of EU Council 9258. This is on the personal protection equipment at work. So the Minister of Justice in February registered the order of the Minister of Economy of the 9th of March this year, 12. 68, and we have the registration number from the 25th of April, number 162. And in the nearest future, this document will be published, and then it can be used for work. Also, in order to implement Directive 19992, for state registration, the order of the Minister of Economy number 2259 has been submitted, and this is on the next steps to approximate towards European standards to protect the workers who face potential risks of explosion in explosive environment. The implementation is ongoing. We are working on that, and we are trying to harmonize with the European legislation there. I will not take too much of the time for speakers. Let's move on, and thank you for your attention. Thank you, Alexander. And that's a bonus for me because you help me to stick with the agenda. And well, you see that the body that is responsible for state policy, public policy in the field of OSH, that the respective authorities are functioning, and we are looking forward to the next steps and good performance. In the same context, Alla Gorbatyuk, deputy head of SLS, on SLS activities and in the situation of the war. Hello, and thank you so much. And I welcome you on my behalf, on behalf of the head of the service, Mr. Dignera. Welcome to all participants of the webinar. And on safe and healthy working environment, fundamental principle and right at work. Thank you for organizing this very important event. The more so that we hold it on the eve of the World Day for Safety and Health at Work, which is celebrated on the 28th of February. So speaking about SLS activities in the situation of the war has been ongoing for more than a year now. And of course, all efforts in Ukraine are aimed to protect our country. Thousands of workers have lost the opportunity to work in safe and healthy conditions, unfortunately. And of course, each of us needs to make a contribution towards the victory and recovery of our country and of our economy. War has significantly impacted activities of SLS, in particular in the part of implementing our control and oversight mandate. Since March last year, with Cabinet Resolution 303 resolution, they suspended state supervision and control measures. The control function has been suspended. In the light of that, SLS defines preventive activities as one of key areas and tools for operation of our service. Upon the initiative of SLS, we set up an interdepartmental working group to develop and coordinate joint actions to reduce the level of undeclared labor and prevention of the incidents and occupational incidents and diseases. The working group comprises representatives of public authorities and social partners. We have also organized a campaign to reduce the level of latent, hidden traumatism, and the campaign will be launched in May this year. Now, let's go to my first slide. And as a result of systemic work on these issues to improve our activities, SLS has implemented new tools for preventive work, as you can see on the slide. These are thematic trainings imitating actual situations at work. These trainings make it possible in actual conditions to develop safe methods of work and to develop safe skills of the workers. And then simulation of certain events at workplace, working on different scenarios and developing safe behavior, response behavior. Then awareness raising campaigns in the sectors where there are the highest risks of incidents. Unfortunately, you only have 30 seconds left. Okay, SLS has also developed more than 30 materials, documents, practical guidance on key safety issues and the procedures in the martial law. On the third slide, you see the results, outcomes of our preventive work. During the previous year and in first quarter this year, more than 300,000 preventive activities have been implemented. 80% of those are technical consultations directly at work. The total number of economic entities covered with those events is almost 94,000. More than 580,000 employees of enterprises have been involved. So the training materials and guidances of SLS are truly the basis for safe work, both currently and in the future. And thank you for your attention. I wish all of you fruitful work. Thank you, Ola. You stick to the agenda, and that's good. And we already have 474 participants, and I welcome everyone, all of those who have joined, and that's a proof of how relevant the issues are. And now I pass the floor to Vasil Andreev, Deputy FTUU, Federation of Trade Unions of Ukraine chairman. He will speak about efforts of trade unions in the field of OSH in the martial law situation. Vasil, the floor is yours.
Thank
you, and thank you for this invitation to speak. We don't really hear you. You have some technical issues. So I believe that you need to adjust that a little bit. And meanwhile, we will pass the floor to Mr. Bidubny, Deputy Head of the Association of Organizations of Employers. The floor is yours. Thank you. Dear colleagues, dear organizers of this very important event, I'm very pleased on behalf of employers to welcome you on this very important and significant day. So let me say a couple of words about the attitudes of employers to the need to address the issues that are faced by the society in the field of OSH. Employers are actively involved in development of the current documents and in working group meetings. We try to convey interests of employers in the context of creating jobs, ensuring safe working environment, providing livelihoods to people and revenues to the state budget, joint work with trade unions, and we believe they are our closest partners on the tripartite basis, on the tripartism basis. And of course, that's so important. This topic is very important. And we work consistently in that direction. Of course, labor standards of work for labor inspectors, we were involved in developing those guidelines, and also draft laws that are being adopted now, all of them are aimed at enhancing safety at work. And of course, interests of employers are maybe diverse, maybe different, because employers believe, and that was a right step of the Institute and of the labor inspection. So we believe that it is important to organize joint work of employers and inspectors. So employers try to make sure that we go by means not of a significant increase of fines or penalties to make employers to work safely. So we believe that other approaches would be adequate. And we believe that SRS is absolutely right currently regarding implementation of the providing advice, support for employers in the field regarding compliance with with OSHA recommendations. So we believe that it is important, it is necessary to increase motivation for safe labor conditions. It is important to motivate employers so that they worked on that without the apprehension on regarding excessive costs. So the discussion on this definitely has been ongoing, and I believe that this is not something temporary. This is the ongoing need, and it is very important, this work, and this is also very important for the society, for public interest, for interests of employees. You have 30 seconds. That's okay. I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk to you, to hear the discussions, and to participate in these very important activities. Thanks to the organizers. Okay, so we have heard a very interesting perspective of employers, and we understand that achieving compromise and various interests, this is really the art. So how to combine interests of employees and interests of businesses? They are different, obviously, but we need to meet somewhere in the middle. And also the social interest, how to combine that. That is something that probably our state leaders should work on, and definitely they will take that into account. So, Mr. Vasil, are you ready?
So I keep my fingers crossed. Well, now it's time for you. You got 5 minutes. And your opponent, Vasil, employers, I know that you like introducing some spice into discussions. So I'd like to say that. Do you hear me? Yes, you hear me. Yes, we hear you well. Go ahead. And well, yesterday I returned from the inauguration meeting of the European Committee with the newly elected president of that committee. So, and back then, the trade unions were discussing definitely the 1st of May is coming. They were talking about the justice. They were talking about a lot of other issues and dignity at work, but the employers were talking about the existence of the European Union. So these two topics, they clashed one against the other because retaining the investment ability is not possible without those who will actually be implementing it all into the real economy. So I'd like to say, dear colleagues, that the antagonism in the field of OSH does not exist. So there are different ideas, opposing ideas in how things will be implemented, put into life, and Mr. Zholt has been right. He said what we do. We try to cooperate with the employers and the state labor agency when we talk about the implementation into life, the OSH rules, and we've been a little bit amazed and worried with the issue of yet another reforms to be conducted at the state labor agency, but the committee told us recently the need to return to the state labor agency the ability to audit and check whether employees are legally or illegally employed, because without this mandate, the rules will remain letters on paper, not more than that. And the new law that Alexander has mentioned recently, we do want to see that law on the 27th of March and on the Article 28. So there's work which, if there's work that poses direct danger to a worker, so we turn to the inspection of labor agency, and we spend a lot of time on that. Currently, we try to retain lists 1 and 2. We know that there are different visions and ideas with regards from all of the employers, of the trade unions and the government with regards whether the compensation should be retained and given to those workers who work in harsh conditions. Even if we eliminate list 1 and 2 and additional benefits, these plans with bad conditions will exist, and people have got to work in there, have got to be protected. And we cannot pronounce 3 words, and those 3 words are not magic words. They will not turn everything into bad things. They will not turn it into good things. So we'd like to say that currently there are hundreds of workers that die because of the conditions caused by the war. Definitely the trade unions and the people of labor and our citizens that heroically defend Ukraine at the front line, they are not stepping down, and they continue working no matter the shelling, no matter bombing. We've been through tough winter, and we've seen the sacrifice that the energy and gas sector people showed, and the utility company people, the drivers, transport drivers, all those who help us retain the life in our country. And the trade unions will continue supporting their members so that given making the sacrifice, the workers still, no matter what the sacrifice, they are remembered. And they so if there are risks, but the employer can reduce the risks and not let the harvester go on the crop line that's mined with landmines. I think in that regard, employees will support the employers, and they will be on the same wavelengths, and this is good. So, Vasily, I'd like to express my gratitude for your remembering those workers who perished at the work line, not the front line, but the work line. Tomorrow we will lay flowers to their monuments and we'll remember them. I want Ukraine to be a prosperous European nation in which every year fewer and fewer people get killed because of bad working conditions. Glory to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. Thank you very much. Thank you. And you've been precise when you've been saying I haven't managed to suck you into a standoff with your opponents, but this is good. We've seen once again that there is a common interest, and arguments around OSH do not exist. We need to find the common ground, and we need to be on the same page in the wavelength, so to say. And I'm definite that we've opened the door. You need to walk into the door and things will happen automatically. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. And I'd like to give the microphone to Rodion Kalishka, Advisor Confederation of Employers of Ukraine. And he's fresh because he's fresh from our long webinar, and they know how to train people, blue collars. And they've launched the project. So the modern digital solutions in the use of materials on occupational safety and health. Rodion Kalishka, the mic is yours. Thank you very much, Dmitro, dear colleagues, and good, safe morning to all of you. Let me join and greet you on the International Labor Protection Day. It's a great honor that we meet today, and it's a great pleasure to see some of the people who've been present, who are present at the very event that Dmitro has just mentioned. And today we've rolled out a page with info and training materials for the vocational training dedicated to the labor protection. Shortly, I will show you this page, and now I'd like to tell you a few words about who has helped us and who has helped us to make it all the way to what we currently have, along with the Institute of Professional Qualifications. So there's a challenge. We responded to the challenge caused by COVID-19 and distant learning within the vocational education, and followed by the war. And the war changed some things as well, but the problem is still there. Access to the modern training materials for some regions and institutions is limited. So we've decided to make our own contribution to overcome this challenge. We've developed an online platform containing mostly training materials for vocational institutions grouped in clusters of professions. So each profession has got a set of materials, starting with the qualification properties all the way to the manuals and training materials to be used during the classes. This is done for the vocational educational system, and having conducted several events with the project of the International Labor Organization. Well, this is a pity that this project is over. We've been supported to add to our platform the especially designated page dedicated to the labor protection information for the vocational education. I will share my screen now for you to see how it looks, what it looks, and
Да, так воно виглядає.
This is what it looks like, and you see the main slide number 1, and this is the set of the materials currently available on the page, which has been rolled out earlier today at the event that Mitro and his colleagues have attended. And this page is up for more than an hour now, and it's called The World of Professions, suiteprof.org.ua, and the training material page is split into 6 structure components. You see the manuals, training books, normative documents, videos, webinars, presentations, external sources, and you've got materials of the IOM project en route to safe and declared labor. This is what it looks like. This is everything is interactive, and you can click, and so these are books, manuals, training manuals, and we place them in order of their being published, and there are some legal documents. There are 12 of them, and I told my colleagues that there are a lot more documents. We've concentrated on the major ones, but if there's a need and wish of the users and participants to place additional documents, we will do that gladly, and the system of feedback is there as well. And As of now on the screen, you see the materials of the very project of the ILO Ukraine, and we've coordinated with the leads of the project, the products, the materials to be placed in their order of appearance. So everything you see here is sanctioned by the ILO. These are webinars and presentations, and I'd like to express my gratitude to my colleagues from partnering organizations that have allowed to place the respective materials on our webpage. And these are the last, but the last slide is dedicated to the external resources, including the materials from the Labor Protection magazine. And thank you, Ivan, for your invitation, for your letting us display these products. Yes, I'm wrapping up, and thank you very much for your letting us place these materials. We've got Novator Group materials, the Labor Protection Service. So these are clickable links that you can follow to the sources and learn deeper the information. Welcome to our webpage. This is what it looks like. This is what the link looks like, sweetprof.org.ua, which has a separate page on labor protection. Once again, greetings on the upcoming day, and thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. Thank you, Slava Heroyam. Glory to the heroes. Thank you for your information, and I think our listeners will learn the information they display on the webpage in more detail. So that's it for this part of our meeting, and this is what I can tell you. That number one, social partners, they have common objectives. There is no argument, there is no contradiction that OSH is important and changes should be made, and we need to know that sustainability of the business is the main element of the economy of the country and the existence of the country. And so we need to find a compromise in between the private and common interests, the business and the workers, the compromise, the common ground. This is something that Ukraine has found, the common ground in between these two groups. And over to the second part, that's OSH in and after armed conflict. And the project did respond flexibly to what has been going on, and a special decree, occupational safety and health in war and post-war times amidst the Russian aggression, is what Olga Bogdanova, chair of the board, European Society, and Alexei Tsibulska, leads of the Engineer Technical Directorate, Kyiv Metro, they will tell us about, they will speak on that topic. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Do you hear me? Yes. Well, there's a slide that we've shown earlier. Please show this slide, dear organizers, but I will tell you about what we've been doing. And I say our work, what we've done, I mean a lot of people who participated in this work, because we as a professional occupational niche society, the European, we decided to have this as our mission, to support the ILO, Mr. Zsoldo Dudic and his team, and we described that experience that our professionals in labor protection have at times of war. And this work is called, this document is called The Safety at Work, at War and After War, the experience of Ukraine amidst the Russian aggression. It happened that
So it happened so that as soon as the war started, whether I addressed international organizations about the experience, about the vacation, about organizing the work, about safe or response to shellings to the extent possible, of course, how to keep the processes going. And I discovered that in the world there are no described works or papers that could be used. Thus, we started writing it, and we have been doing that for a year. And this is the work where we show the experience, we share the experience of our companies, enterprises, of our state in the field of OSH. And a very important role in developing this document was that of SLS, and we are grateful for their contribution because they have shown a good example of how to provide advice, how to support relocation, how to preserve work, how to preserve jobs to the extent possible. Ochrana Pracy's magazine was your role has been so important because you documented, you recorded the events, but this work is not over. And this is just the beginning, and globally there is very high level of interest to this work. Unfortunately, conflicts are ongoing in Sudan. There is a military conflict now. And our colleagues, they say that they would like to learn from our experience. And thus, I ask you to join, to contribute. So if you believe that your experience needs to be documented, please write to the editorial board. Please describe your story in the context of OSH. And then we will continue this work. And I am grateful to you and grateful to the team who contributed, Olesia Cybulska, our key the key person who accumulated the material. Maybe I will pass the floor to her for her to add to that. Thank you. Can you hear me? I am very grateful for this opportunity and for the invitation to work on the project, on the document. This work has been important for me, and it is still important. It is ongoing. That was really a huge amount of work. What we presented a week or a week and a half ago, that's an abbreviated, a shortened version, but that's not the last version of the document. Because while the war is ongoing, we will unfortunately gain new experience, we will face new challenges that need to be reflected, that we will have to live with, that we will have to fight with. So I join Olga in her request not to stay aside. Any experience, any opinion is important. Every tool that has helped your company to work during these difficult times could be of help for you, and also for other enterprises in Ukraine and also all over. So I'm also very grateful to you, and of course, you have. I expected a bit more, but you've already held your presentation, and I do have several. You have presented this initiative, and that was not a guided initiative. That was their initiative. While ILO and Joel Dudas immediately responded without any kind of European bureaucracy, and this work developed and has produced very good output. And thus, I will now pass the floor to those companies that actually continue working under current conditions. Volodymyr Zegmas, Deputy Head of Kyiv Metro Municipal Enterprise, on the work of the company in the situation of the martial law and air raid alerts and attacks. I welcome all participants of the online conference. I wish us all safe work under peaceful skies. Kyiv Metropolitan, after the military aggression of the Russian Federation, has been used for double purposes: as transport infrastructure to transport passengers and also as a shelter for passengers and population. In this most difficult and tragic period of life for Ukraine, for the enterprise, Metropolitan has the Metro, Kyiv Metro is adjusting its operation to circumstances to save and preserve lives of employees, of passengers, ensuring a proper level of safety, and compliance with OSHA and fire security standards. War has changed us all, but it has not changed the most important things, our humanity, our courage and professionalism. Since the first days of the war, and the staff of the metro have been helping people who look for shelter in the underground stations. We provide for conditions for safe stay and transportation of passengers and use sanitary state. In order to organize safe and more or less comfortable stay of population in underground stations, we work with volunteer organizations. We have developed the rules of behavior for population, and that are introduced to those people who use our facilities. We provide food and water for younger children who have been looking for diapers, baby food, toys. The population was subdivided into groups, and there were leaders of the groups, and collaboration, interaction with the staff was ensured, and also support was provided for maintenance of public places. In order to timely organize evacuation, the enterprise developed a plan for evacuation of staff of Kyiv Metro enterprise if there are any dangers or any emergencies, technogenic or natural emergencies that require organizing evacuation. In the part of providing for safety of workers, the enterprise assessed the risks of continuing the operation in the situation of the martial law and determined the safe places for the staff underground and in on-ground facilities. And those facilities, if we hear air raid alert signal or if we receive any other notifications of emergencies, work stops and people go to shelter. To tunnels, to underground stations, according to the set procedures. In order to conduct rescue work in the metro, the respective groups, teams have been set up, while the work that requires special PPEs and special equipment, there we outsource that to rescue organizations, units of municipal units. We also hold trainings with shifts of metro staff and involving fire brigades to develop the procedures to act in the case of emergencies of fire. In the metro, preparatory work has been conducted in case of emergency situation of energy blackout, full disconnection of electricity, water, heat supply, to ensure minimal labor conditions, to make sure that staff can keep working. In metro stations, the staff will have emergency water supply, and the respective facilities will keep operating using backup facilities. And those employees who will be directly involved into executing these assignments, they will have access to heating points, they will have the stock of timber, and the sanitary equipment is provided. So we continue working 24/7 as a shelter. We continue transporting the passengers, and also in addition to that, yes, I'm summarizing, 383 employees of the metro are serving in the Ukrainian army, defending our country. The metro, even though transportation of citizens in the time of the war has resulted in two-time reduction in revenues of the enterprise. We keep working on ensuring safe and comfortable conditions for residents of the city. Thank you. Thank you, Volodymyr. I will not comment on that because you have shown us it all, and many people here have seen that, and I'm sure that people are very grateful to you and will always be grateful to you for those minutes, for the time that they spent underground where they were kept warm and taken care of. There is another category of energy sector that is also the second front. And unfortunately, many of them have been killed at work, have died at work, and we commemorated their memory. When I visited those liberated areas, I could see them coming as soon after the miners, or even they were the first ones to come to those liberated areas. And they said, oh, finally people value our work, because before that they were always dissatisfied with something. So Serhiy Holubov, head of Regional Center for Industrial Safety in the Western region, Industrial Safety Department, Ukrenergo National Power Company. You're welcome. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Everyone here, I see that almost 500 people have joined from all over Ukraine. Ukrenergo company is very grateful for this opportunity to address you, and we are grateful to all the energy sector employees, to the Ukrainian nation for holding up, for keeping the energy system ongoing. I also would like to express gratitude to ILO, and you provide very helpful materials, content available on your website. And let me emphasize that recently, now we can see more materials in Ukrainian, and this is what makes it available, accessible for the employees, and they're happy to find out more about approaches globally. So I will try to fit into the time allocated for me. National energy company Ukrenergo is a joint stock company. 100% of the stock belongs to the state, and it is governed by the Ministry of Energy. We are members and observer of European Energy Union and SOE, and the transition operator with the functions of managing the unified energy system from transportation from generation to distribution. Our staff provides services and maintains high technology equipment and we also have lines and substations that are now in the occupied territories of Donbass and the Crimea since 2014, and more than 19,000 kilometers of mainland and interstate lines where we supply electricity from generation to distribution networks. And also since 2013, we've implemented integrated the management system in line with international standards. First, since 2019, it is so these are ISO standards. Since March 2022, during those hostilities around Kiev and in other territories of Ukraine, we witnessed a very important event for the people of Ukraine. This is synchronization of the Ukrainian energy system with European and SOE network, and Ukrenergo got the status of the observing member in SOE.
Fall 2022, during the mass attacks on Ukrainian energy, Ukrenergo for the first time proven the ISO 9000, 14,000 and 45,000 compatibility requirements. We say that we meet the requirements of the best European companies delivering to what's promised to international partners at the times of war. And our company's audit was delayed, but we made the decision to prove the certificates, and following the synchronization of Ukrainian energy system with that of NSOE, all the members of the company realize how important it is to have the updated certificates, and we also did some other work, and we were audited by the German certificate body DQS. Following the result, Ukrenergo got the compliance certificate. We meet 3 standards for 3 years. The auditors say that even at the times of war, our company stick to the international standards. And since 2022, we've seen that things are getting bad, so we did some anti-incidents training, but ever since the invasion, we approved of 15 new labor protection instructions on how to behave in emergencies, and the instruction of pre-medical first aid to, and this document was published in March, and the initial leaflets were published the next day when the war had started. Ukrenergo staff is trained what's has got to be in CBRD on rocket attacks, terrorist acts, and do I have more time? 5 seconds. Okay. I would also like to share the experience. Our crews were invited to Poland to work at energy sites. We checked what the Polish have got, and our people are pretty much trained, and they have told us that what we have is almost the same as the Polish and the Europeans have. I would like to express my gratitude to the Polish energy specialists who provided us with the maps of safety maps in the Ukrainian language, though it was the maps of the Polish sites, and they invited us, and they gave us the equipment that we brought to Ukraine and assembled it here. The Ukrainians and the Polish people will help each other, and the approaches that we have in this risk-oriented model meets the European standards, of which we're sure, and it's a great pleasure to be working with the European energy community. That's it from me. Should you have more questions, feel free to ask. There's no Q&A session, unfortunately, and I've been listening to you, and I have a great. I'm proud. I'm extremely proud with what you've been saying. I know you can be talking for hours and hours. I've seen a lot at your center. You control everything. You see everything at your center. You see what the aggressing country has ruined, and it's great that before the war we had managed to disconnect from the aggressor grid and got connected to the European grid. I think somebody should be honored with the Medal of the Hero of Ukraine, but I think a lot of people had done it because Ukraine is a unified brain, and we're united we stand. There are traitors, but the traitors is trash, and they are not great in number. I would like to express my gratitude to the people working in nuclear power, hydropower, guys and other power people, guys, girls, you're great. And I visited the nuclear site yesterday, and thank you very much to all of you and Ukrenergo, your friends and brothers. And if you need any help, ask. We're always stand by. We've got to be helping each other. We, the Ukrainian people, have got to do what we can during hard times. Peace and hands to work. Sergey, your front line, though it's not at the front line, is important. And I see that Forest of Ukraine state company has joined us, and greetings to all of you. We know the effort that you've been making, and now I'd like to give the microphone to Sergey Madanyuk, the head of Rivno nuclear power plant labor protection department. We know what we're talking about. We know the threats that are out there, And Sergey, the mic is yours. And we're all attention. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, and I would like to share my screen. Labor protection is an indispensable part. Do you see it? Labor protection is an indispensable part of each and every company, and the objective is to provide secure safety of the people at the workplace. Despite the legislation in the field, in real life there are lots of gaps. To resolve these gaps and problems is digital transformation of labor protection, allowing optimization of the process, making everything more efficient, using the cutting-edge technologies and software, info systems, online platforms, and other tools to collect and process the information, which allows the company to manage risks efficiently, providing more precise tracking of the state of the affairs and respond in due time. I would like to tell you about several positive practices of digital transformation at our company and briefly tell you about 12 tools which we efficiently use now. Digital system of digital report increases the efficiency of work and reduces mistakes and helps to get the orders done in due time with no mistakes. And it tracks the time and delays, reduces the coordination time, and reduces the time when searching for the necessary information. Surveillance. It influences the surveillance at the company. The company collects and digests information in real time, thus instantly detecting the flaws and problems. The program reduces incidents and provides in due time the remediation for problems that may occur. A lot of information is secured for further analysis of the trade of the work. This software calculation, automatization of the process, and we efficiently plan the procurement of the PEP and PE personal protective equipment, medical monitoring software. With the help of this program, medical staff can easily get the information on the number of the sick people and their geolocation, thus responding quickly in due time and taking the necessary measures to prevent the spread of the disease. Medical checkups. To improve medical checkups at the company, this program has been created. It allows in due time organize the medical checkup, reducing the wait time and increases the satisfaction of the clients. The registry software. The registry software, the key registry software, like, for example, we talk about technological premises, distribution rooms, and so on. Key registry controls access to different zones and allows efficient use of the territory and the circulation of the keys, securing the safety of the staff and assets. Electric tool registry allows us to see the electric instrument status, whether it's gotta be repaired. We've got all the necessary information and the latest testing of the equipment. Distant learning web aspect program trains staff no matter where they are, flexibility, and the staff can control the speed of the classes dependent on their skills. The distant learning system saves the travel cost and keeps important information safe, and the gazetted information can be used in further works on assessing. The knowledge checks help us efficiently use the training process, the training control automatic system, the system of issuing of registering of the inscriptions also helps us in due time detect the problems and remediate those problems. Automatic document flow system, taking into the consideration the knowledge of the Labor Protection European Agency, we implemented the new efficiency labor protection management program, which allows us dynamically assess and change things following the audits that we conduct. There are some draws and flaws and problems. Some people reject new technologies. Some people don't have enough skills to use new technologies. There's a security breach problem, and we need to always follow the legislation changes. So let's introduce digital change in and thus secure the health of our workers. We constantly conduct work with our children, and we keep everything up to date. I'm talking about the OSH issues. That's it from me. Thank you, Sergey. And we know that you've got a lot more to tell. We know that the times are harsh now, but based on what you've shown, you've overcome certain problems, and you've won the battle, and the armed forces will do the rest. They will win the war. Now, digital transformation holds a lot in store for us, and not all of us know about it, but don't forget about artificial intelligence, which will be another instrument to be used. This means that you need to have more knowledge, you need to have more skills to do it all, to be able to manage it all. Because if you let artificial intelligence do everything, you will run in a lot of trouble. Artificial intelligence is a threat, but this is an interesting tool at the same time. We need to find the balance, and we need to find that balance. And 2 more minutes is what we have. Bogdan Tesla, Chief Engineer for Labor Protection, Kyiv Cardboard and Paper Mill, not far from the town of Obuchev, Kyiv province. Bogdan, are you with us? Yes, I'm here with you. Well, I have to, that's my duty to invite you. Well, we haven't had those risks that the people working in the energy sector have had, no matter, but still our company has been up and running, has been trying to be functioning, and this is for the first time we stopped for about a month, but then things got better, and the armed forces of Ukraine stabilized the situation. We managed to launch some of our equipment to produce the sanitary hygiene products.
So we had to reformat our activities. We held the analysis of available shelters, and we organized the shelters closer to the workplaces, because the enterprise works on the 24/7 basis, and suspending the production would result in challenges. So it was necessary to make sure that people can quickly go to shelters. We developed the action plan, what the employees need to do. We developed the rules and we set the indicators in the territory of the enterprise so that people could find their way, especially where people are in different the units, and the territory is about 60 hectares, so it may be quite a challenge to find a way. And our enterprise is certified under ISO 45000, and despite the aggression, we held recertification audit and we confirmed our certificate. Moreover, our enterprise, well, due to specifics of our activities, there is a high fire hazard, and that is why we developed the activities to we conduct trainings and activities to prevent fire. We have involved more than 800 people for that kind of training during the wartime, and we have a fire brigade, our own fire brigade, so it is quite easy for us to organize these activities. Thank you, Bogdan, and I see that Olesya Cybulska expresses her gratitude because she says that when developing the guidelines, your experience was of much use. Thank you. Right in the situation of the martial law, you have confirmed your ISO certificate, and of course, our magazine has been involved. And now I invite Sofia Litvin, and she will summarize this discussion and she will indicate how this information is applicable. Thank you. Thank you, Dmitro. On behalf of the project, I would like to say that I'm happy that our last event in the framework of the project is held together with you. Stay with us till the end. At the end of the event, you will see an interesting video where you will see and hear yourselves, and that will be a summary for our project. But at the same time, I'd like to say that even though the project is already over and starting on Monday, the team will no longer work. However, we leave behind very important information resources. Let me share my screen in order to show where and how you can reach that. So this is the website of our project. It will be active. It will be available for all of you. Can you see my screen now? Yes, we can. So the address of our website is very straightforward. It is ILO.org. This is the main site. And then SHD for Ukraine. This is safe, healthy, and declared work for Ukraine. And we see the English version of the website, but here you can easily switch to Ukrainian. The materials, proceedings that were accessible for public access, all of them are available here. They will remain available. And also, let me explain that the website is structured in a user-friendly way. So on the homepage, you can see all the components. This is OSH. You go there and you have access to all the materials and guidelines that we developed. And this refers to all the sections: labor relations and declared labor, as the labor inspectorate, and additional areas that we activated after the 24th of February. This is forced labor and human trafficking, psychosocial support, and OSH in the times of war. I believe that now everybody is asking that question because we speak about OSH in the wartime, and you may be asking the question, where is that document that could cover that? Well, this is where we are preparing guidelines that will be available in this section, and the content of this document has been confirmed already. We are now designing the document, and I believe that by mid-May we will be in the position to share it, and it will be available for practical use. What's also important, So as soon as we have it, please follow our Facebook page. I believe that it will still be active in May. We will do some announcements there, and we will announce publication of these materials, and of course you will have access. In parallel, I would like to show you that we have here a separate section for commemorated to the OSH Day year to year. Here you can see materials for OSH Day this year. There you can see some materials in Ukrainian you can use and disseminate these materials. This is the key resource. Please save it and to use the resources. And of course, the most important thing is not only to be aware, but also to implement new knowledge and new experience. And that's my wish to you. I see positive response, and maybe you could copy paste to the web address to the chat. And this is the end of our second discussion, and I believe that we deserve a break. So let's take 10-minute break, and we will meet. Let's meet 10 minutes to 1. Okay. 10 minutes to 1 p.m. we reconvene, and we look forward to a very interesting interactive experience. And of course, we will see children's drawings, and we will hear the final addresses from our colleagues, partners, and sponsors, ILO colleagues. So this is technical break. Have some coffee or tea. See you.
So, dear colleagues, we still have a lot of people on board, which is a good sign. We'll get 2 more parts of today's information. What is important is psychosocial support at workplace in war and post-war times. I would call this a project within a project, and this is when the ILO project reacts swiftly to the request when the war started, and this is something that became important. At the very beginning, very few people understood how important this type of support was and is, and I would like to give the microphone to Ksenia Lepecha, psychologist and trainer in the field of labor, and she participated in the pilot project, and you will listen to the interactive session on mental health and workplace, and you will have to vote as well. And we would like to improvise a little bit, and we will use this tool that you will vote, and she will analyze your voting using that tool. But and Ksenia, now it's all yours. Thank you very much. Do you hear me well? We hear you extremely well. Good. Now the picture is a little bit slow, but I hope that you see me well and you can hear me well. Greetings to all of you. Thank you very much for your invitation, and thank you for having allocated me this much time to this conference and taking into the consideration the challenges that the labor environment currently has at the times of war, and the challenges that we'll have once the war is over, and also taking into the consideration any other psychosocial problems that impact the organizational processes, and the other way around, the organizational problems that impact psychosociological and physical well-being of the workers of different companies, institutions, organizations. This all have got to be dealt upon systematically and not have got to be responded ad hoc. So before implementing something, improving something in the workplace, you should assess what there's going on. And the survey that we're currently offering you is meant to draw even more attention of the leads of companies to the psychosociological support, because OSH is also means the assistance to the psychological well-being of the workers. There are 5 key questions, because you know that this list is not exhaustive of the questions, definitely, but within the framework of our conference, we will offer you 5 key questions and by answers, and the answers will show us the overall level of stress, will show if the vertical communication within the teams are okay, and what issues have got to be dealt in depth, and what have got to be prevented, and which issues have got to be monitored and assessed with great more attention. So, dear assistants, launch the survey in 5 minutes time. The access to the survey will be shut down for you to better understand the questions. Even as you work individually on this survey, I will provide several comments to you. And so the question number 1, assess the level of stress as of today. So this is your perception of the situation. This is your self-assessment, not diagnostics. There are 4 possible answers. No stress, meaning you're okay. Low level of stress, meaning that there's stress, but you're fine. You control the stress and it doesn't have any negative impact onto your life. High level of stress can be manifested when you do some work. From time to time, you hear an alert ideas here and there in your brains. You find it hard to concentrate. You understand that you need to do something about it. And very high level of stress shows that manifested when your colleagues and friends have already told you on several occasions that they see some negative changes in your behavior and what you do in your work, and see how much exhausted you are. So you feel that you've lost the will to move on. Your mood is low. You commit lots of errors in your work, and you're willing to take more days off than you used to be in the past. Then you tell your boss if you have any problems at work, like psychological problems or any other bad things happening at work, the conditions that impact the level. I beg your pardon. You scroll down to the right. You've got the scroll down mechanism, and let's go over to question number 2. This is question number 2. Do you inform your boss about any problems that you experience at work? So you need to be scrolling down to get to the bottom of and then you have to answer the questions, then you have to press the send button. And those participants who are participating via Facebook unfortunately cannot participate in the survey, so that's why I'm commenting, telling what there's going on. Question number 3, whether you feel okay. Let me talk about question number 2. So it's better be silent means that if you say something, you may be retaliated, and it's in vain, meaning that you can talk about tell your bosses about it, but bosses don't do anything. The problems are not resolved. Number 3, but you feel supported by your bosses at your workplace, meaning that any type of support, because if there's no support, or if there's any support impacts the psychosociological state of mind of the workers and the group of the workers. Number 4, do you know how to provide the first aid psychological assistance to your colleague? If you're aware of the techniques of first psychosociological assistance and you've already used it in order to help a colleague when he or she reacts acutely to a stress, you write yes. If you don't know, if you're not sure what you should do when a person shows symptoms of stress, so you are not aware, you are not sure how to react to be efficient to calm down the person stressing, then put no. Number 5, whether you need a program of psychosociological support at your company. When you say yes, that means that your company your organization needs to have one. No means that this is not something belonging to the field of labor. So if a worker has got some psychological problems, let him deal with his or her problems out of workplace. No, but because the program of the kind is being implemented at my organization, if yes, in the chat you can share your experience. That will be of interest to us, and I have no idea, which is also a possible answer. because not all the companies and organizations have efficient communication channels within the teams and the engagement systems. So our worker may not be aware of any changes and measures happening at the company or organization. Now we see that you've already voted, you've already selected the right answer. That's it. We are wrapping up this survey, and if you may, I'd like to be commenting on each and every question separately. Can we please show question number 1, then we'll go over to question number 2. I'm talking about the results, the answers to the questions. Question 1, followed by the results, answers to question 2. Well, we got a small pause. The technical support team have got to digest all the information because I don't see the results, the outcomes. Unfortunately, we've lost the results. A speaker of ours has pressed the button. We seem to have not recorded the answers. Let's relaunch the survey again, but please, dear participants, do not press any buttons. Only our participants. I haven't been warned. Okay, good. So let's relaunch the survey and be careful. Do not press any buttons. Well, I've explained all the questions, so I think that we'll be able to get the answers very fast, extremely fast. Please repeat. Even more people will answer now. And less than 40% participated out of 127 people. It's possible that now we will increase the number of people participating in the survey.
So I'd like to already see the results so that I could keep commenting on that. So let's wait a little bit, but you see it happens fast. The answers are coming fast. 150, already more than 150. So it's going up.
–
30 seconds more and we wrap up.
Так, 180.
180. And who's going to be the last one? They're going to be 185.
Stop.
Так. Це вже результати, так, я бачу?
So these are the results already, right?
Так, це вже результати. Я можу...
Right, these are the results and I believe I can comment on those. Okay. So most of our respondents now have low level of stress. Can you see, everybody can see the results, right? Yes. Okay, then. Measurement of the emotional status of workers is important not only for decision-making on implementing support activities. This is demonstration of adherence of management to mental health of employees, and it is a way to attract attention to various factors that may affect mental health of the employees, because distressed condition states could be not only about consequences of the war or family situation, but that could also be about labor conditions and atmosphere at work. That is why it is important to implement a policy and program for psychosocial support where it would be possible to assess the situation at work, the response mechanism and support system. However, this policy will only work in a team where there is the so-called culture of psychological safety, where the OSH officer or in-house psychologist is perceived not as the manager's informer, but as a trusted person. And one of examples of that is question 2, actually, based on which we can see so whether you notify your managers about any issues that may encounter at work. Yes, most people do that, and that's great. However, there are also results where you see, no, we'd better keep silent, it makes no use. Far not every manager may be aware of the scale of issues at work because maybe they are not informed, there may be fear culture or no efficient communication, while in those teams where there is proper psychological safety culture implemented, any activities implemented to support workers that happens, well, they implemented much faster and easier, based on example of our pilot exercise as well, because there is foundation for that. The answer is better to keep silent. It is about the culture of fear, intimidation, and thus there is no protection, no opportunities for employers to flourish and develop at work. And then the first response measure would be adoption of the respective policy of the enterprise and communication trainings for sectoral workers. You see that 2%, we have 2% of people who say it is no use. And that indicates that there may be no response to difficulties that may arise. And this indicator is closely associated with the third question of our questionnaire. We can see that most of our respondents feel support from their management. And here I'd like to say that all in all, management support, it is an important resource, vital resource for successful implementation of the program, and our pilot enterprises have proven that, and I'll speak about that a bit later. Speaking about the results under question 4, if you know how to provide first psychological aid, we see that most respondents do have some awareness about that, but actually setting up a team to provide first psychological aid at work is an important component in addition to all the available resources within the policy and program of psychosocial support. And my last question, if at your enterprise that program is needed, well, yes, we can see that mostly respondents, 50% of them almost say that yes, that's needed, and 15% have indicated that they already have it in place. So please share those in chat. I really look forward to, well, I believe that all participants of the conference, they're very much interested to find out more about your experience. So actually, as well as for all the previous questions, we can conclude that psychosocial support program is needed, and that is why ILO has implemented a pilot initiative on psychosocial support at the workplace, so that we had this experience based on which we can develop the respective methodological recommendations and conduct the surveys and develop evidence base and develop assessment and management of psychosocial risks in the OSH system, and to hold the social dialogue to make suggestions for a legislative framework for OSH. The pilot initiative involved 12 enterprises from various sectors of economy, representatives of the public sector. This is healthcare, education, IT, Some enterprises, even before the pilot initiative, started implementing psychosocial measures as a response to COVID crisis, but that was fragmented and there were a lot of questions about how to make this work systemic and more efficient. Other enterprises had not yet approached those issues, but they felt the need for that. Moreover, all the enterprises had different baseline data, and that impacted the speed of changes and the very content of changes. For piloting, pilot enterprises were suggested a straightforward four-step model to implement the program. And 3 months after implementing the respective activities at work, at one of pilot medical facilities, 3 times fewer employees experienced stress. The level of stress went lower. 3 times more employees were satisfied with labor conditions, and they felt support from their management. So our pilot enterprises involved got support from the management to implement the program, assessed psychosocial and emotional needs of employees and available resources to implement the programs. They approved the written policy and they introduced all the employees to it, organized communication support for the program, approved the plan of program activities for 1 year and the monitoring system. After that preparatory phase, they started implementing such activities as trainings for structural department managers. Psychosocial risks were assessed and the respective information resource was developed. In the framework of the agreement for voluntary health insurance for employees of one of the enterprises, and they took into account recommendations of mental health experts. Moreover, the enterprises positively responded to trainings suggested within the program. Some enterprises started implementing a series of trainings to set up teams for assistance in the field of healthcare, and that's so important for our enterprises considering the consequences of the war, impact of the war. Some companies started organizing such resources as gym or the relaxation room, professional support. They noticed that there was a higher level of openness or involvement. Employees felt freer providing their feedback, and more people came for professional mental health support, even though there are still difficulties for people to timely ask for help, and that's not natural. While we develop the culture of mental health, mental safety, and the program becomes ongoing, this indicator will go up. A positive result is that structural unit managers have started paying attention to mental health area. So this experience of piloting has proven that preconditions for successful implementation of the program at the enterprise level include support from the management, integration of the program into all change management practices, promoting open communication, development psychological safety for feedback and proposals. A program will be efficient if it addresses priority needs of employees. An initiative group can be inspired and to suggest some activities, but people may not respond to those. And that is why it is important to identify psychosocial needs of employees at the systemic level and on the regular basis assess factors of psychosocial risks to understand which activities need to be implemented now, which of them are priority ones. Success of a program depends on to what extent managers hear their employees, whether the program is being developed. So it is important to include innovations, take into account new risks, and follow the changes that arise both inside the organization and outside externally. Due to piloting, we can set up a platform to exchange experience, to disseminate information, and actually we with these various activities, we are already doing that actually. And also it's possible to support good practices due to that. We can set up business coalitions and sectoral agreements in order to improve mental health at work, and thus to involve as many employers as possible to become ambassadors to support mental health of their employees. And at the state level, we can introduce the changes that would support employers in implementing this kind of programs. This includes organization of information and methodological support, for example, in such very sensitive issues as efficient communication and support for veterans in the staff from their employment till adaptation at work after they are back. That's it on my side, and I'm grateful to you for your attention. Thank you for your participation in the polling. Glory to Ukraine. And I pass the floor to Sophia. She will add to that, and she will speak about the resources that all of us can use in the framework of this theme. Thank you. Let me respond, because some people are anxious. They say that they did not have time to answer the questions. They would like to participate. Well, sorry, but this is a huge group of people, and the quality of connection may vary, and but it's good that many people have managed to answer the questions. So this is like a demonstration of a tool that anyone can use, and that was the main objective of this interactive session. This is not about diagnosing. Thank you. Thank you, Dmytro. So can we now close down the results of the voting, right? Because I see them on the screen. Is it just me? I don't have that. Well, you can show it once again and just close down. Okay, of course I can show them. So we see that currently among our participants, the stress level may vary. 12% have no stress, about half of people say that it is low, and for high it is 32%, very high 4%. Regarding whether you inform the manager about your problems at work, 72% say that yes, and that's good. About 20% say no, and we don't know the reason there. We didn't explore that. It's better to keep silent. Well, it's good that only 7% say that. And also only 2% say it has no use. It's good that there are a few people who say that, but maybe if you do answer the question in that way, maybe it needs to be addressed with your management. If you experience support at work, 83% say that yes, and that's great, because the support means that managers take care of their employees, they are open to communicate, to exchange information. And OSH-related issues, by the way, include the important principle of ongoing exchange of information and consulting, discussing with employees OSH-related issues, because the employees, they're in the best position to highlight some deficiencies. If we know how to provide first psychological aid, 63% believe that yes, that's good. I hope that you do know how to provide it at due quality level. Otherwise, you can always undergo the respective training, and I will speak about that and whether this psychosocial support program is needed at your enterprise, and the result is good, because we see that yes, it is needed, or most people say, or they already have that. 25% are not sure. I hope that after our session, you will join the group of those people who say that it's needed, and 13% say that no. And I also hope that you will change your opinion as you start thinking deeper on that. So now I stop that. And now let's go. Well, Ksenia has said that the pilot has mentioned the pilot project that we implemented, and the outcomes were quite impressive. Metro is right that this was a mini project within the large project. We were very engaged, but also the companies were engaged. And what's important is one of the pilot participants is said that after the pilot was completed, they could feel that they were gaining the speed. So it's important that after we stopped support within the pilot project, we could see that people were ready to continue developing this program independently, autonomously. So what to do and what resources are available? Again, the project leaves a lot of resource on that. And now I would like to share with you another link. This is the website of State Labor Service of Ukraine. Now I decide to direct you there. This is a very interesting, good portal that SLS set up at the beginning of the war. This is Praca in UA. And you can see my screen, right? I hope so. So this is a very user-friendly website where you can see a lot of topics covered, and in particular that's about psychosocial support at work, where there is the heart and hands. That's the front of this blog, and that's a very comprehensive information resource that we developed together with Ksenia, and it includes several parts. This is information for employees, and these are some booklets that you can just download from the website, and you can distribute them to the participants, or you can read through them on the website. And if you're interested about your stress level, here you can undergo self-testing and find that out.
And as you can see at the end of each and every chapter, there is a printable version, and the labor protection professionals can provide the information to the workers. Let's go over. We also have a video for each and every part. Ksenia provides more information in each of those videos. And there's the care for everyone part. Here we see the practical pieces of advice, how you can support your work colleagues. And there's some information for the employers, trade unions, and labor inspectors, because the latter will include this into their day-to-day job to promote these programs at workplaces. And here you see for each target group, there's a set of pieces of information. Let's take a look at the last part, which is the description of 4-step algorithm Ksenia has spoken about. Step by step, you implement this program, and for each step, you've got some additional information, templates, policies, questionnaires to assess the sources and the situation analysis. This is the video recording of our pilot, during which we assess the result of the piloted companies. So you have a tool which has proven to have produced good result, and we've got the surveys of pilot, we've surveyed the people, and we have it as a proof. And in 3 to 4 months time, you can actually change the situation at your company. So please use this technique, use this information. And there are some more interesting information, which is these are the ILO recommendations. Let me find them for you. It's in the social support at the workplace. Go to the bottom, and this is the information that is interesting. Psychological health at the workplace. These are the measures that you can use if you implement the programs of the kind. Definitely WHO and ILO support psychological health as part of the OSH. We should not be talking about intact hands and legs. We should be also talking about psychological state of mind, which impacts the ability of the worker be efficient at his or her workplace, thus impacting the efficiency of the company or organization he or she is employed with. That's it from me. I'm stopping sharing my screen, and I will also drop this link in the web chat so you'll be able to copy it. Thank you very much. Feel free, get engaged, read. This information is easily digested and easily presented. These are not rocket science articles. This is something that you can take and use in your real life, and they are proven with some companies that we piloted these techniques with. Over to you, Dmitro, Sophia, thank you very much. We've managed to get a lot of information, practical information, and added to our arsenal. We've outlined the problem, but we're also opening doors and windows for those who would like to deepen their knowledge and understand once and for all the importance of this issue and matter. We've got Ruth Wilkinson. She has got to be here at 1:40 p.m. But now I'd like to give the microphone to Sviatoslav Hanenko, Chairman, Council of all Ukrainian Association of Healthcare Employers Organizations. Let me say a few words. I've managed to run 20 interviews, and you will hear the outcomes of those interviews, but please pay attention that this is a project within the project. There had been a big request before we started, and it is so much important that the employers had asked for it, and they launched a wave, and that wave covered and engulfed a lot of companies, and then more companies got added to the list because there were more companies actually willing to participate than actual opportunity to cover them. So he'll talk about the healthcare sector's role in providing psychosociological support to workers at workplace in war and post-war times. Potential perspectives. So Sviatoslav, it's all yours now. Thank you very much, Dmitry. Greetings to all of you. Zolta, greetings to you. Sophia, greetings to the team of Ukraine. Slava to Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. And this is the first time that I'm reporting to you, and currently we're implementing quite a niche and unique symbiosis in between the employers of healthcare and all other employers working in different fields of economy of Ukraine, and with the support of the state labor system of Ukraine. Mr. Kinish has signed a memorandum today with the state service with Igor on memorandum on cooperation, including on the implementations of the achievements of our project on psychosociological support at workplace and the development of social dialogue linked to the latter in the Ukrainian society and in the Ukrainian economy. Definitely that what we've been doing in this project has contributed a lot of knowledge and experience to the team as to what the team has got to do to counteract the challenges happening in Ukraine in order to satisfy and to secure the labor capacities of Ukraine. And we'd like to express once again our deepest gratitude to the team of the project, you, Dmitro, as a member of the team in particular, and we hope that we will continue cooperating. We've made a decision independent, two decisions, two aspects that I would like to outline. Number one, we have created a working group, and you probably know about that, to prepare the application to prolong the developments of the project. Everybody's interested in this, and we're trying to now actively, swiftly process this problem and move on. But at the same time, we haven't stopped for a single moment our work in this regard. And yesterday in the city of Uzhgorod, there was held an international conference on labor protection, where our team presented the developments of the project. The team is headed by Sergei Pavlovich, our CEO, Mr. Professor Vugorsky, and this information attracted a lot of attention of the conference participants, and I hope that this very resource will be used by us. We will use this resource in order to for these achievements be implemented in Ukraine in the field of health protection in the health sector, not only in the health center, and in other fields of economy of Ukraine. And this is something that's supported by Anatoly Kirilovich and the Union of the Employers. And at the same time, at this very session that I've mentioned, there's been made a decision to create a key lab on the retention and development of labor capacity in the field of psychosociological support at workplace. We're launching this process, engaging into this lab, the leading scientific centers of Ukraine, and not only in the field of health protection, but in other sectors in the fields of economy of Ukraine. We hope that we'll have fruitful cooperation with the Health Protection Journal, Mr. Dmitry, and we hope that our acquaintances and joint work with the team of the project, Mr. Zholt and Sofia, will find other shapes in communications and staying in touch. So I wish all of us victory in this war. This is our joint effort, and I wish all of us good health, success, and glory to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. Героям слава, glory to the hero. So you've performed better than it was meant, and you've provided us some time that we can put into store and maybe use later for other questions. Thank you very much. Best of luck to you. And since I cannot now let Ruth from the United Kingdom connect us because she will be here at 20 minutes to 2 sharp Kyiv time, we've got 10 minutes time. Let's not use it for a break, but if somebody's got questions that you would like to ask, this is the right time to ask those questions. And we've got Ksenia here. She may provide professional answers to any questions of yours. So I think some, no, hold on a second. Is Ruth here?
Oh, very good. Thank you very much.
Yes, hello,
Glad to
Ruth.
see you.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Olga. Thank you. Sorry, so many people online. Fantastic to see.
Yes, perfect. Thank you
Yes.
for agreeing to be with
Значить,
us.
No, it's
я
lovely to be
запрошую
here.
до слова. Пані
I'd like to give the microphone to Ruth Wilkinson. She is representing the IOS, and this is what we call it here. She's from the United Kingdom, psychological, mental health rather. So the mic is yours.
вас, пані Рут.
So Ruth, the mic is yours.
Thank you ever so much. Are you okay for me to start? And I sort of asked to talk about the topic of mental health today from the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health's perspective. As mentioned, I'm Ruth Wilkinson, the head of policy. So I hope you can all see the slides. Quick introduction on IOSH. I won't spend long on this. We are the chartered body for health and safety professionals with 50,000 members across 130 countries. We're also a thought leader, an enabler, a charity, and an international NGO. And we advocate.
We're kindly asking, this is your interpreter speaking, don't speak extremely fast.
That's got a vision for a safe and healthy world of work. So this topic fits very nicely and aligns with the messaging that we're really interested in. So mental health then, the topic I was asked to talk about. In 2022, the World Mental Health Report from the World Health Organization, Transforming Mental Health for All, declared a vision where mental health is valued, promoted and protected in a world where mental health conditions can be prevented, and people can exercise their human rights to access affordable mental health care. And there's also been free from stigma. So when we talk about mental health, I've put a definition on here from the World Health Organization, which is a state of well-being in which every individual realizes their own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. So this is a really nice definition here, because it talks about beyond the normal stresses of life and about working productively and being able to make that contribution. So what I want to make the distinction here is to say, actually, we all have mental health. It can either be impacted positively or negatively. And if it is impacted negatively, then we're talking about mental ill health. So I've added a definition on here from IOSH about mental ill health. When one's mental health has reached a point where they cannot cope with stress, thoughts, emotions, or previously diagnosed disorders and symptoms cannot be managed without the need for some sort of intervention. So when we talk about health of individuals, we really do need to consider that actually we all have a physical health, but we also have a mental health. And to say these definitions are useful just to set that bit of context. Right, if I move on to the next one. And this is these are some statistics that I've taken from an ILO and World Health Organization document on mental health at work. So the link's at the side, and it's the policy brief. So why are we talking about mental health then? I mean, there's definitely been more talk recently through the COVID pandemic, but this sets the context here that 60% of the world population is in work. And if you look at the prevalence on the bottom there, it tells us that 15% of working age adults had a mental health disorder in 2019. So that really does set that context. But then the impact, if we look at the impact, 50% of total societal costs of mental health conditions is driven by indirect costs, such as reduced productivity. So we can see here that it impacts the individual, but it will also impact society through the cost, through the health, but also through business. And we can see, following on that productivity and the business impacts, that 12 billion working days are lost every year due to depression and anxiety. And this can equate to $1 trillion to the global economy due to depression, anxiety, and predominantly from lost productivity. So I guess I just wanted to highlight that when we're talking about this, that there are those greater impacts. And we looked at the definition of what mental ill health is and how it's now we've got that definition, how it can contribute to these impacts, not only to the individual, but wider impacts beyond. So this does help put it into some context. But I just want to bring it into the workplace a little bit here, as obviously I'm here from IOSH, and we have that voice where we speak on behalf of our members, looking at occupational safety and health in that workplace context. And when we do talk about the workplace and occupational health, the health is always about the physical as well as the mental health. So we're all people, and we have this. And what can impact our mental health? There are personal factors and work-related factors. So when we look at mental health, the risk factors tend to be multi-causal, or it can be due to single events or combination of events. So it is quite complex in that sense. But when we look at the work, we do also know that as well as it can be impacted due to personal factors alone, but it can also be caused by work-related factors, or it might not be caused by work-related factors, or things in the workplace can exacerbate and make matters that might have already been pre-existing worse. So the workplace definitely plays a part in how we can prevent and reduce the impacts on people's mental health at that workplace. So personal factors can be financial, relationship, medical, and I've put a few examples in there. When we get into the work-related factors, so those psychosocial risks, They can be in relation to the work itself through the demands that we have at work, excessive demands, not enough. We might not have enough control over our work. We might not have clarity in our job and the role. The work that we do might also lead to unhealthy work-life balance, organisational change, poor relationships, bullying and harassment, and that there's a much longer list than this. I just wanted to put up a few examples, but also to highlight that the work equipment or the work environment can also be an impact. And when we're talking about the consequences that this can have, obviously it can impact the health of that individual, their behaviours in the workplace, but it can also impact their performance. So how they're performing at work, it can impact, I suppose, their health and safety doing the job role that they're doing. It can impact the change in the values and their attitudes as well as the behaviours, and it can result in people being off work. Or actually, even if they do come to work, there's a term you might be familiar with, presenteeism, which means you're in work but not 100% at work. So it might cause people to come to work who aren't fully able and should otherwise be off unwell. So I just wanted to highlight that I know that there can be a stigma around mental health, but I just wanted to come back to that this is all about people and the fact that we all have mental health. It's whether it's being impacted negatively or not to be causing mental ill health. And I suppose coming back to the workplace again, we do see that it can be positive through the organisation has a role to take, I suppose, to drive good mental health practices and support workers, because it can improve that productivity, which again is a benefit to the organisation, a benefit to society that we've just seen. It can also help innovation. So if your workers are safe, healthy and well, they're likely to be more productive, innovative, creative, engaged, and give that wider value and have more morale and efficiency doing the nature of their work. It can reduce sickness absence, the presenteeism that I just mentioned, probably more likely to retain workers as well at that workplace because they feel supported. It can enhance organisational reputation, and also it demonstrates that duty of care is being supported and followed through, and there's also savings potentially from legal or regulatory action depending on how things are set up. So these are the things that we advocate for at IOSH, and the top one is just about good occupational safety and health principles and practice, and good management systems. And when we talk about good management systems, they really do need to be led from the top. So to support mental health, there needs to be that leadership, that commitment, that visible action to supporting people, and people including that mental health. But there also needs to be worker participation, so two-way communication, collaboration, involvement in that decision making. So and these elements align to a good occupational health and safety management system. We also call for prevention, reduction and management of psychosocial risks at work. So I gave a few examples of those mental health risk factors in the workplace, and you can find information externally on these psychosocial risk factors. But as I mentioned, the workplace can impact mental health. It might not be work, or work could exacerbate pre-existing problems. At IOSH, we always promote a prevention first approach, so it's better to stop things happening in the first instance rather than trying to be reactive once they've already happened. So that prevention culture, and this aligns with ILO conventions around having those prevention cultures. So we do stipulate a prevention first approach in the first instance. The next one, when I said it was all about people, relates to person-centred approaches and recognising that as people, we have things going on outside of work as well as in work. So having the right approaches that can support people to come to work in the first instance, that can remain in work, that can return to work if they've gone off work, and you've got the right infrastructures for human resources to support people to work, and in inclusive environments as well. So to have a more holistic approach. At IOSH, we always talk about good work being safe, healthy, supportive and accommodating people's needs. Apologies, I was just coughing there. So when we talk about having work, actually and we say work is good for people, we actually mean it's good work that's good for people. So the good work needs all of those elements that I've just mentioned. And when we talk about occupational safety and health, we talk about the need for it to be embedded into core business, so it's not standalone. And when I talk about this, when I always talk about occupational safety and health, I said health also means mental health. It's important that it does go to core business. It's aligned to the values of that business as well. And if you've got occupational health and safety management systems, then it's really easy to align mental health to it. So psychosocial risk management, for example, and having mental health strategies. So the framework is already there and to align the good practice. Again, occupational safety and health competency. So what competency do people need? What training do leaders need, managers need, workers need to promote and advocate for their own health and safety? So how do they look after themselves, their own mental health? How can managers identify and spot any signs where people might be struggling and to support those people, as I say, to work and remain in work? And obviously we do advocate for capacity building where we need stronger occupational safety and health capacity. So that competency, the resource, but also that occupational health capacity. And bringing in inclusive practices as well. So the practices that we adopt need to be inclusive for all. Right, and I suppose this all comes to some key elements. I mean, the reason I've mentioned this is, I suppose the way we look at our occupational safety and health and how mature the framework is, I thought it was really important to mention here that from our perspective, occupational safety and health is a strategic matter and an enabler. So rather than seeing health and safety as a cost, actually it's an investment. And it is that strategic matter that we've just seen that the impacts are much wider than on the workers or the business. They go beyond into wider society as well, and those costs to society through the healthcare, lost time, working lost time. So we really do need to look at it in that strategic manner. And it's obviously would be remiss of me not to highlight the fact that a safe and healthy working environment is now a fundamental principle and right at work, which I know you're talking about. And it's important for OSH to be strategic, to have the right national frameworks, action plans, policies in place to make sure that we do drive occupational safety and health. Sustainability. So we've got a campaign at IOSH that I'll quickly talk about in a moment that's called Catch the Wave. And it's about recognising the role of occupational safety and health in social sustainability. And IOSH one of the first to call since 2003 that for occupational safety and health to be recognised as material to sustainability. Also links in with decent work and jobs for the future, and I'll come back to those 2 points now. So when I talk about the SDGs and say that this title talks about the world's already changing, well, we've seen an evolution from the Millennium Development Goals to the SDGs, to the 17 that we've got here. And these SDGs bring more prominence to decent work, but you can see decent work has its own SDG number 8, but actually there's lots of interconnections of decent work across the others, across other SDGs. So again, this highlights where, you know, the role of decent work, occupational safety and health within that across these other SDGs. And as we're talking about health here, obviously there's SDG 3, which looks at good health and well-being. And obviously along the top of the United Nations global principles, where we've got the human rights, labour rights, environment and anti-corruption. So again, now we've seen our fundamental principle and rights at work, we've got safe and healthy working environment at that level. I'm conscious of time, but wanting to just highlight the last couple of slides to you. And this was where, when I mentioned jobs for the future, it's important to look at the mega trends that are happening around us. So globalization's happening, increase in remote working, there's the rise in digitalization and the platform, digital economy, automation, climate change. So the jobs in the future are going to change, and there's going to be a need for reskilling and upskilling. And it's important that we start to embed occupational safety and health requirements within those jobs. So from the initial output. And of course, considering, you know, that the impacts of these changes as well will have on people and their mental health, as well as their safety factors. So there's a reason we need to look at these trends and to take action accordingly. This is just the banner of the Catch the Wave campaign that we've got running. And within the documentation, I'll put a link at the end. Due to the topic that we're talking about here today, this just talks about the wider value of people within that sustainability. And actually, if you've got, I'll come back to what I mentioned earlier, if you've got safe, healthy, well workers, they contribute much wider. So if they're motivated, they're more productive, you've got better products, better reputation, you've got good working conditions which can support workers' health and safety. And it all links into this bubble here, the sustainability into society, economy and the environment, which again links back to the health of individuals. And we're trying to get to be more outcome focused. So saying that we do all of these things, what's the inputs and the output that we get, but actually what's that wider impact? So when we're supporting people with their mental health, we're supporting their mental health, but there will be greater and wider outcomes and impacts of why we do what we do in that workplace context, and it will help support public health initiatives as well. So I appreciate I might have surpassed my time that Olga aligned to me, but just to give you a few links of the Catch the Wave campaign, we've got information on mental health, so talking in a bit more detail of some of the earlier slides that I mentioned to you all on that link there. We've got various IOSH policy positions that talk around occupational safety and health and sustainability and human capital, occupational safety and health and climate change. So please do have a look there if they're of interest. We've got lots of different training available around managing occupational health and well-being, managing safely, working safely, managing sustainably. So we've got new products and bite-sized training on sustainability as well, which covers mental health because it's all part of protecting people. And we've got different research available. So the workplace wellbeing one talks about the role of line managers and the importance of having that training and good systems. And the other document on return to work with sort of common mental health disorders will support people who've already got mental health pre-existing conditions. How do we support them to come back to work and to remain in work? And I appreciate that was a real quick whistle-stop tour, but I really wanted to set the strategic scene and as well as the sort of the more granular level mental health aspects to consider in the workplace. I thank you ever so much for listening to me, and apologies, I'm a very quick talker, so I do hope that you've got all of that. And Olga, I can share material outside of this, but as needed. But thank you ever so much for inviting IOSH. It's been a pleasure to come along and to see everybody so engaged and on the screen. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ruth. It's invaluable for us, yeah, to have all these hint sources and trends for IOSH. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Olga. And I'll leave you all to the rest of your session. Enjoy. Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you. And let us give you a short feedback. So, Ruth, we are very grateful to you, and it is very important for us to hear what people think, how you act those people who live in Europe, and we are aspiring to Europe. That's very important. It's important to understand that we are the same when we speak about our problems, and we are also very grateful to the UK that you are a representative of for your support, for your warmth, supporting us in the context of the military aggression, psychologically, financially, all kinds of support is so important and valuable for us. I don't know if Ruth is following us. I don't see her on the screen. Well, of course, and based on what has been said, it's important that there are 17 SDGs and they cannot be achieved. None of them can be achieved without OSH. There is a separate goal 8, decent labor, but all the other goals, either based on expert statement, cannot be implemented without OSH. So this is transversal and integrated. And this is the end of the third section of our discussion. I'm grateful to Ksenia, to Sofia, to Svetoslav Kanenko, and of course to our UK guest. Thank you for the information provided. It is just for guidance, but we have access to all the required resources that will be provided. And before we wrap up, we have this interesting event, and this is summarizing OSH through children's eyes drawing competition. That's very important for us, the work that's very important. We believe that, well, we work with the SLS, and that's investment into the future. And I keep saying that this is the cheapest way to ensure safe labor. Let's watch a short several slides. So this is a social project, 12 years, 120,000 children have participated. Annually, there are 9 winners. And currently, we already have 108 professional OSH agents. Organizers are Okorona Pracy magazine and SLS, and I would like to express gratitude today to the regional departments where the first phase of that competition was organized at the very high professional level. But in particular, I would like to express gratitude to Sofia Stomina from Poltava, Volodymyr Rebunov from Zaporizhia, and Oksana Chipega from Lviv. These are the best of the best, and thank you for the assistance that has been provided. Of course, we are grateful to parents, to teachers, and I know that here in the audience, we have children who are looking forward to hearing their names. And please go ahead. So, this has been announced already, but now at this high respectful level, let us announce the result of the competition. So these are the 3 winner drawings: Sinitsa Maria Zaporizhia, Alexandra Gabrilenko Klesiev, Rivne Oblast, and Lia Zagarova, Grishny Plavny, Poltava region. They are children younger than 10. And you will see these drawings additionally on our resources. Next, 11 to 14 years. And this is Helety Nazar Khmelnytsky. These are life saviors. This is very relevant. Vladislav Kaptan, Maximivka, Poltava Oblast, and the city of Zaporizhia, number 3, Milena Yefremova. This is their vision of the OSH component. And the next one. Congratulations to the 3rd age group representatives. These are older children who are already approaching the labor market. Chernohus Christina, number 1, very creative work. Chupur Daria from Kharkiv, incredibly moving and Alexander Perekhrest from the town of Drabiv in Cherkasy region. We congratulate all the winners and thank you again. And this year, the war has made some adjustments and we added 9+3. Despite the war, we see the pictures, the drawings from the occupied territories, from abroad. They reached the editorial board and we decided to organize a separate contest. So this is a separate category. This is Lyhatska Maria, Arkadiivka, Kyiv Oblast, Osyczki, Zhytomyr Oblast, Yana Kryszewicz. This is the second age group. And Supranyuk Matvey, Apali, Volyn Oblast. So these drawings are the best ones and the children receive the prizes. All the participants, and there are more than 10,000 of them, around 10,000, all of them receive the certificates, participant certificates. The competition was supported with the enthusiasm of ILO. So for 12 years, ILO has been supporting this contest, and this year, Kharkiv charitable foundation Turbota contributed. And also, I would like to notify Poland Polkowiska Foundation. This is a Polish company led by Martin Petrovsky. From the very first days of the war, they joined us. They've been helping us. Kyiv Cardboard and Paper, Combined Steel Tech, and Kowalska company. And this, thank you so much. And these are the main presents. Children have already received them, and we received their calls and letters from children with their
So the objective 2024 this contest has got to be international. We have all we need for that, and the project has been helping us, and our drawings by our children participate. And the competition of children's drawing was the visiting card to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the International Labour Organization, and is regarded as a unique competition, one of a kind. So this is something that we have achieved as the nation. So please participate, please bring up future presidents, managers, prime minister that will value OSH at workplace. So that's it. We have no more slides, and I would like to once again show you a video, which is a brief short video. It's under 4 minutes, but you will see we will get engulfed into this competition. Let's see what was there.
Звуком 6.
Диво, молю, шукай зорю, тримай мене, міцно за руку тримай.
Спитай, скажу, як я люблю. Літай, літай, літай зі мною. Твій світ, і не треба більше слів. Одне серце, два світи, збережи назавжди. Мій світ, твій світ, і любов одвічна мить. Одне серце, два світи, назавжди разом ми. Мова, мова, мова вітру, мова, мова, вітру і дощу. Слухай, слухай, і мене запам'ятай.
Плекай волю, пісню свою і магію. Літай зі мною, світ, твій світ, і не треба більше слів. Одне серце, два світи, збережи назавжди. Ти світ, твій світ, і любов одвічна мить. Одне серце, два світи.
І так, шановні колеги, ну ось і
So,
наступили.
dear colleagues, this is the very moment, and these are all the runner-ups and winners. And currently, we see that the pictures are there.
Літай зі мною, світ, твій світ, і не треба більше слів. Одне серце, два світи, збережи назавжди. Ти світ, твій світ, і любов одвічна мить. Одне серце, два світи, назавжди разом ми.
Ну, ось так, маленька історія, ви не
So
уявляєте.
this is a short story, but you cannot imagine. I think you can imagine the amount of joy and happiness that we've brought into the lives of these children who's been given presents, or we simply praised what they've drawn. And now, if we may, we've invited one of the participants and winners, which is Zoroslav Perechrest. He's graduated from high school already, but I would like us to see one of our winners, and Alexander. Zoroslav, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to see you here. Alexander Perechrest. So show us the presents that you've been given. Yes, I've got my presents. Please show us your present. This is the mobile phone that I've been given as a prize, and I've also been given as a prize the medal and the certificate and diploma, and let me show it to you. And I have this interesting magazine and paper notebook from the ILO. So thank you very much. Is your family celebrating your win? Everybody's greeting me that I won in this important competition. I have with a powerful, strong idea, and my picture shows the conditions in which a lot of us were while we were drawing our pictures. This, how did you come? Tell us how you came around the idea for your picture and how much time it took you to draw the picture. It took me a lot of time, and I was drawing during the electricity cuts. The thing that actually inspired me partially to draw this picture. In the picture, you can see a warrior who is fighting on at the energy front, fighting back, repairing an electricity grid during in harsh times. You know what I'm talking about. So, as far as I know, it took you about a month to complete your drawing. Yes, it took me about a month, and it took me a lot of time, actually. About a month. What are your plans for the future? I want to enter Kyiv Sikorsky Polytechnic University, majoring in engineering. And has this drawing influenced your points of view, values that you probably, I bet you have. Yes, this drawing has helped me to learn about the importance of the electricity, which we get, we thought it was a thing that very easy to get electricity because it travels along the grids, you know. So we wish you all the best. We hope you will graduate with engineering diploma, and the most important thing is the life of each and every person. Greetings to you, to your parents, to your mother, to your colleagues on your win. You are our future, and we believe in you. We believe in our future. We do our best to secure our future. Thank you. Thank you very much, and best of luck to you. We will be following your success, and in 5 years' time, we will write what you will grow into. I'd like now to give the microphone to Martin Petrovsky, the head of the foundation, Polish Foundation, which started on day one of the war, started participating in the help of Ukraine, and they still help in Ukraine, and they have participated in this competition, and we have plans to deepen our cooperation for the year to come, and would like to make this contest international. Is Martin online with us? Can we see you, Martin, or are you with us, Martin? Unfortunately, Martin is not with us, and I would like to listen to him, but we will pass on to him our gratitude. So talking about the results of our competition, we have the following. Number one, we need to take this contest to the international level. We need to merge the Ukrainian and international European values, thus making yet another bridge of friendship to reinforce the unity of Ukraine with Europe. Number two, 2024 labor protection, children painting should be conducted in free, independent Ukraine during the Victory Day, and armed forces of Ukraine will do its best to win the war, and we try to do our best. Even this competition of ours is a contribution to our victory, future victory. We'd like to have an auction of the drawings, and the employers welcome to procure these pictures and then use it in your day-to-day work. There are only 9 winners. We have 999 participants, and we've got lots of interesting pictures. Please turn to us, and we will try to forward them to you. And once again, we'd like to have an exhibition, annual exhibition, that is dedicated to the Labor Day protection, the exhibition of children's drawings. This is quite a powerful, energetically powerful thing, and that has an incredible impact. This competition actually was launched in Donetsk province, ahead of a mine. The director would simply place drawings at the bus that would bus the coal miners to the coal. It was written in Russian back then because it's Donbas. Father, we're waiting for you at home. Dear father, please come back, would be the caption to the pictures drawn by the children. So this is how this exhibition came into existence, not from the top, but actually from the bottom. Thank you very much once again for having participated in this conference, the teachers, the parents, the state labor agency, and we will continue this work of ours. So we're approaching the final minutes of our meeting, and I would like to give the microphone to Mr. Zsolt Dudas. And it's a great pleasure of mine that you're with us, Zoltan. You have as much time as you can because we're ahead of time, and we are ahead of time, actually. I have to say the farewell remarks.
Thank you very much, Dużo dziękuję, for this opportunity, and also to be with you today. It has been fantastic to be able to celebrate the OSH Day, discussing the fundamental nature of occupational safety and health as a key labor right, but also to discuss specifically the issues of psychosocial support and the achievement that has been accomplished already in the last 12 months or so, but also discussing the OSH and times of war, the paper and the active research that's been done. And I think it has been really excellent that we're able to do this. Indeed, our project is coming to an end, and this is our really last public event. We have had the farewell workshop 2 weeks ago, but today is definitely the first one. Even though we will not stop working, there are some still steps to be done, but officially, as of tomorrow, our last working day, and the 30th of April will be the official end of the project. I think that this is also a time for us, on behalf of all of us from the International Labour Organization, to say big thank you. Big thank you because you have helped us, inspired us, supported us to be where we are today. The colleagues from the group of OSH experts, colleagues from Der Sprazi, colleagues from the Ministry of Economy, colleagues from the trade union movement, the colleagues from the business associations, the employers, but of course, so many individuals behind these organizations. And I think we have also said this, it has been more than just a cooperation between organizations. This has been an excellent cooperation between individuals. And I think we still have 352 people online. There was almost 500 at the time, and there are many more. We cannot all name them, but I really want to thank every one of you, because what you have achieved in very difficult circumstances is something unique. We have a community that we know each other, we know where we want, and we have points that we all want to achieve. We share the same. And I think if the project succeeded in this, we are already halfway through. And certainly, this is now the second year in a row when we celebrating the OSH Day in very difficult circumstances. I think Ukraine has shown give a lesson to Europe and the world already in 2014 with Maidan, have done it again over the last 13, 14 months. And I think let's try to make sure that your stated ambition of becoming a member and closer integration with the European Union will be the third major achievement. And I think in closing chapter 19 related to labor issues, social employment, there is work to be done. So even though our project is ending, there are still work to be done. Let's make it sure we all do it again for a prosperous, peaceful Ukraine, hopefully the member of the European Union family, and for those occupational safety and health standards that will be up to those levels that you desire and wish to be. With as many accidents, even one is too many, and all this. So I thank you for your cooperation, for your friendship, for your partnership, and the privilege and the honor to get to know you. Dużo дякую, and Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Спасибі, Жол. Додати просто...
Glory to the heroes. Joel, thank you very much. Nothing else that I can add. Yes, we've had the cooperation that has created this synergy effect. And now we've conducted 20 interviews all through the preparatory pilot project. So we're launching the final video, and you will be able to see almost everyone that you know and the ideas of the people that you know. This will be a 9-minute video. Let's watch it together.
We want to open as much as possible as we can to Ukraine. And this also implies that we would like to see Ukraine having the same standards so that our economies compete and work at the same level. We see this really as something that goes hand in hand. So high standards in our products, high standards in our protection of workers. So it's really much a philosophy issue and driven by our values. That's why it is so important for us.
Це ключове, на що він був спрямований і що він досяг. Змінити наше бачення, ставлення, розуміння принципів формування систем безпеки.
Ми окреслили вектор, в якому ми повинні всі, куди ми повинні всі йти. Ми для себе зрозуміли стратегічні елементи безпеки праці, гігієни праці. Ми побачили, де у нас є лакуни, які не закриті в нашому законодавстві, співставили наше законодавство з європейськими директивами, начерчені певні кроки по внесенню змін до законодавства і законодавчих актів, які регулюють відносини з питань охорони праці.
Що нам було цікаво і особисто мені, це міжнародний досвід. Тобто, як у світі, які є засоби, інструменти, фінанси, мотивація для мотивації бізнесу вкладати в охорону праці, в безпеку праці.
Я би сказав так, рамковий закон вже майже готовий. Він максимально агрегований уже з міжнародними нормами і праці і стандартами.
Жодна зміна в такому чутливому питанні, як безпека праці, як безпека і здоров'я працівників, не може обходитися без консультацій, без діалогу, без узгодження з соціальними партнерами.
It is an issue of political will to adopt this legislation.
В межах цього проекту було проведено величезний ряд тренінгів, семінарів, обміну знаннями, які дають нам можливість адаптувати найкращі ці досягнення і застосувати їх до нашої роботи для того, щоб досягати, власне, наших цілей. За допомогою проекту було ряд таких ініціатив реалізовано, сформована система дистанційного навчання, запроваджена щорічне підвищення кваліфікації інспекторів праці, перевірка їхніх знань. Працюємо над створенням те, про що багато говорили, уніфікованого інспектора, який приходить на підприємство і дивиться надзвичайно широке коло питань.
Держпраці змінилося їх, як вони себе позиціонують і те, що вони допомагають.
Наше завдання – тримати цей баланс між ефективною і якісною консультаційною роботою. І якщо вона вже не спрацьовує, має працювати інший механізм, про який говорить конвенція.
Наші стосунки з роботодавцями стали більш довірливими. Роботодавці задають нам більш відверті питання.
Проєкт Міжнародної організації праці, він опинився в
потрібний час і в потрібному місці. Ми спілкувалися з тими людьми, які завтра прийдуть на виробництво, і які для себе запам'ятають на все життя, що треба працевлаштовуватися легально.
Особисто я планую після закінчення навчання працювати виключно офіційно, платити податки, тому що я вважаю, що це важливо.
We were able very quickly, with the help of not just the project team, but also with our interlocutors in Ukraine, especially the SLS, but also the social partners and the government, to repurpose our project while we continue to work on some of the things we could work. At the same time, develop some of the new activities that we felt was important to address.
Один з проєктів, який дуже швидко зумів перелаштуватися чи зловити оту потребу нашого суспільства з початком агресії Росії.
Наш досвід, гіркий досвід може бути корисним для світу. Це досвід охорони праці під час війни.
Прильоти, і вибухи, і постійні сирени – це все є. А це все супроводжується і занепокоєнням, і стресом. А коли болить душа, і коли ви не можете спати вночі, коли у вас тривога за ваших рідних і близьких, чому ми не йдемо до спеціаліста? Чому ми не йдемо до психолога?
Суть цього пілотного проєкту «Турбота про себе та кожного» спрямована саме на формування культури піклування про психічне здоров'я.
Нам, медикам, які надають медичну допомогу, теж потрібна підтримка, теж потрібна допомога. А ми про це навіть не замислюємося.
Я побачив, що це те, чого потребує і галузь охорони здоров'я, і як споживач, і як продуцент, який буде продукувати послугу, яка буде приносити людям користь. Ті напрацювання, які відбулися, це фактично підготовчий етап. Тепер ми точно розуміємо, що робити, як робити, ким робити і за рахунок яких ресурсів.
We have achieved quite a lot, but we achieved it because of the excellent cooperation with SLS, but also with the Ministry of Economy, with social partners, with OSHA experts and others.
Ми маємо рухатися дуже швидко, ми маємо навчитися швидко домовлятися, ми маємо навчитися швидко приймати рішення, ті, які є на користь українців.
thank you very much for the warm words that you're expressing in the chat. The team has been quite big in size, and Arena has provided technical support to the interpreters. Thank you very much for your work. And who else has participated? The ILO has done a lot of work. The Labor Protection Magazine, thank you very much. All those who we haven't mentioned, but without whom this event wouldn't be possible. This day that we commemorate the International Labor Day Protection, I would like to voice your joint effort idea. I'd like to express my thank you to Antonio Santos. He, as a wind, with his sudden attitude, jumped into our society. Sometimes it was very difficult to digest what he's been saying, but he did his job. Joel Dudas, who followed then in hard circumstances, he did his best to adapt the project to the needs that changed, and what was done was to meet the needs of Ukraine. Sofia Litvin, who had always been near, she's been the energizer of this very work, internal work, quite difficult work, and she did her best. So we're not saying goodbye to you. We'd like to stay in touch with you, and the toughest work for us is done. We build the basis. This is what the professionals say, but we need to build a house and breathe in the life into that building. This is our homework that still lies ahead of us. The war sped up lots of processes. The war made a lot of things difficult, but the war also opens new opportunities that we need to grab hold of. And one day Antonio Santos once said that we are the Ukraine, and Ukraine, as a jumper sportsman, you started running well, but the result has got to be a very good leap, either the long leap or high leap. We need to attain the result, though we are started very good speed. So this is the result that we're all oriented, and we will do our job. I bet you we will. There's not an idea that there'll be no project. Everybody hopes that this project will no longer exist. The project has been omnipresent where there was a need. We got used to this project, and this is our navigator now, communicating device. This is our workshop and the platform. No matter what questions are, you simply cannot take away it from us. So, dear European community, dear international labor organization, please do not linger. Make the decision to make the right decision, because the time is running wild, because this is the war. 1 day is like 3 days. This is the speed that we have, and please, as Natalia has said, we need you make the decision as fast as you can, hoping to continue our cooperation with the ILO and with the European Union. Thank you very much, dear donors, for having participated in this endeavor. See you soon. Greeting on the Labor Protection Day. Do what you have to do at your companies and organizations, and see you soon in a new project. До побачення. Thank you and goodbye.